Night Dive Studios is known for obtaining rights to abandonware retro titles such as Turok and Doom 64 to port them to modern titles. Now the studio has returned to the occult classic game Shadow Man to revive this strange series. The Shadow Man series began in 1992 under the banner of Valiant Comics. Comic legends such as Joe Quesada and Frank Miller have all had their hands in this series. After several years of immense popularity and over 5 million copies sold, Acclaim stepped in and purchased Valiant for $65 million, paving the way for the original Shadow Man to be released as a video game in 1999. Initially released on N64, PlayStation, and Dreamcast, Shadow Man had everything in the right places to be a massive hit, based on the deep lore and stories from the comic books and a dark occult atmosphere that was tough to find in some adventure games at the time. Plus, there was a slew of hype and positive reviews upon its release. Shadow Man seemed to be a surefire hit. When I finally got my hands on Shadow Man, I was disappointed. After finishing Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater around the same time, I couldn't give Shadow Man the attention it needed. The gameplay felt stiff compared to these other titles. Further, the story was far too complex for my hormone-raging adolescent mind. My N64 cartridge of Shadow Man found itself sitting on the bookshelf collecting dust. Now, 22 years later, I find myself confronting my poor choices and finally giving Shadow Man the time it deserved. Shadow Man Remastered aims to revive this title as the occult masterpiece it was meant to be, but had there been a physical release, I feel like it would have ended up in the same spot as my old copy. The first thing I noticed in the remaster are the visuals. Gone are the cloudy, blurry, textureless graphics replaced with high detailed backgrounds and beautiful lighting, but a fresh coat of paint can't hide the problems underneath. The game still looks like a relic straight out of the 90s. Sharp and angular polygons make the protagonist, Michael Leroy, appear stiff and robotic, a cardboard box with a mouth. You begin this adventure in a swamp, where you get a background of Michael through his own internal monologue. His family is dead, he's unable to die, and he's able to visit a place called the Dark Side. A self-proclaimed asshole of the universe here. You also get the first direction from Michael, who says, "Where is this church anyway?" When you finally find the church, you are greeted by no less than 10 Rottweiler dogs who chase you around but don't bite. Upon entering the church, you can talk to Nettie, a voodoo princess who gives you a teddy bear from your dead brother to access the dark side and tells you to find Jovi, vessels that contain dark soul power-ups to beat some old bad guy. Shadow Man is mostly convoluted and often confusing in its direction if you haven't realized. Still, the game is elegantly written. Most of the in-game conversations sound like refined and artistic lyrics pulled from some ancient grimmer. Michael describes one of these places he visits as untamed and unnatural afterbirth, which I must admit in 1999 soared swiftly over my head. At first the gameplay feels more optimized in its updated version, but that effect wears off quickly. As you navigate through a labyrinth of hellish, oversimplified environments, you can slowly shoot undead demons in the dark side. After around 5 shots, which seem to last an eternity, the demons finally explode into chunks of red gore. The act of fighting seems to slow the gameplay down to an agonizing pace. I found myself back in my basement in 1999 wondering if I had any other games to play. Shadow Man Remastered is an alluring and eccentric game, especially for the time it was released, but it's a cadaver of the late 90s, a timepiece that shows its age. Its dark, poetic writing is beautiful and entertaining, but can also be ambiguous and misleading. To truly do this game justice, mechanics need to be updated to make the overall experience more enjoyable. Faster pace and more fluid gunplay could bring new audiences. The game should be played by anyone who has never experienced the series and are interested enough to visit the dark side themselves. I'm sure longtime fans will feel that nostalgic love playing this occult hit exactly as it was published 2 decades ago, but personally, I feel it could have been left on the shelf. Noisy Pixel is giving Shadow Man Remastered a 5.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our featured content.
Noisy Pixel.